We've all heard of the British royal family, and we all know the head of the family is King Charles. There are many kings in the world, but there are very few who are as popular as the King of the United Kingdom. But the big question is, do you know how much wealth Charles received after becoming the king? Or how many castles King Charles owns now? Probably not. In today's video, as we dive into the lavish lifestyle of the King of the United Kingdom, from his palaces to his cars to his art collection, everything will be revealed here. But before we dive in, let's look into the early life of the King of the UK. Early life. Charles Philip Arthur George, also known as Charles III, was born on November 14, 1948 to the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, and Queen Elizabeth II. Charles was born in Buckingham during the rule of his maternal grandfather, King George VI. But with the death of his grandfather, his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, became the queen, and Charles naturally became the heir to the throne. Charles went to Cheam and Gordonston schools just like his father, and 10 years after his mother became the queen, in 1958 Charles was made Prince of Wales. Now the prince continued his studies and even earned a bachelor's degree in arts from Cambridge University. After completing his graduation, Charles went on to join the Royal Air Force. Later, he also joined the Royal Navy Force of the United Kingdom, where he toured around the world, but his army career lasted only 5 years, from 1971 to 1976. After retiring from the army, the prince returned home to fulfill his royal duties. As time went, Charles undertook the duties of Queen Elizabeth. On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96, and by the law of succession, Prince Charles ascended the throne at the age of 73 to become the King of the United Kingdom. After becoming king, according to various reports, King Charles has a net worth of more than $400 million, and a big chunk of his net worth goes to his palaces. Now, let's take a look at the palaces the King of the United Kingdom owns. Clarence House. Before becoming the king, Clarence House was the royal residence of Charles, and it's located in the city of Westminster, London. This is a 10-story building providing good quality office space with floor plates of approximately 745 square meters. It was built by King William IV, and it took 2 years to build, between 1825 to 1827. During World War II, this house took a lot of bombing by the enemy, and for this reason it went through recodification. It is also listed Grade 1 on the National Heritage List for England. The price of Clarence House is estimated at $76.5 million, and this is where King Charles spent his last 20 years as prince. And after becoming the king, he had more than 12 grand palaces and castles and villas to live in. This includes Windsor Castle, the Palace of Holyrood House, Hillsborough Castle, Highgrove House, Sandringham House, Balmoral, Clarence House, and others. But according to the BBC, the king and queen consort will inherit the famous Buckingham Palace, which was the residence of Queen Elizabeth II. Buckingham Palace. This grand palace is now the royal residence of King Charles. It is located in the city of Westminster. This iconic palace was built in 1703, and since then it's been through a lot of modification, and its beauty has just increased with it. Now, coming to the exterior, it is 108 meters long across the front. The external facade was designed in the French neoclassical style and surrounded by a beautiful garden area. The estimated price of this palace is $1.3 billion. It has 755 rooms, along with 55 royal and guest rooms. This palace also has a cinema hall for the entertainment of royals and guests, a swimming pool, a jewelry workshop, and even a surgery room for just-in-cases. Let's move on to the car collection of the king. Cars owned by the king. The king has a range of cars from vintage to modern, and we're going to highlight the main car from them. The king's car collection includes the Rolls-Royce Phantom 6, which is one of the favorite cars of the king, and he's been seen driving it many times. The price of this car is about $460,000. Talking about favorite cars, another favorite car of King Charles is the Aston Martin DB6. This car was given to the king by his parents on his 21st birthday, and the price of this car is estimated at $400,000. The collection also includes an Audi 6 worth $90,000 and a vintage 1944 Aston Martin Virage Volante. This car comes in dark olive green and is worth $90,000. Apart from these cars, the king also owns a Bentley Mulsanne, a Range Rover Autobiography, an Audi A8, and a Jaguar 1 Pace. This is the first electric vehicle in the royal family, and it was bought by the king for its environmentally friendly qualities. Although after becoming the king, Charles III is not allowed to take his private cars, but only the state car due to security purposes. However, this car collection of the king is estimated at $20 million, and it's assumed he'll inherit the extensive car collection of Queen Elizabeth II, which is believed to be millions. Jets owned by the king. When it comes to travel by air, the king relies on private jets. Although the king doesn't own any private jets of his own, like other royals around the world, the government of the United Kingdom provides access to private jets for His Majesty to travel abroad. This includes Airbus Voyager, Royal Air Force, and even helicopters. Because you can't expect the King of the United Kingdom to travel on a commercial flight, do you? According to some data, the king spends more than 74% of his royal allowance on flying in luxurious jets. Now let's dive into the art collection owned by the king. The king owns the Royal Collection. This is the largest private and the most expensive art collection in the world. The king inherited this collection from the late Queen Elizabeth II. This collection contains more than 1 million objects, and some items of this collection date back thousands of years. This impressive collection is stored in 13 different UK royal residences. The price of this extensive art collection is more than $10 billion. It's impossible to list everything in this collection, but to break it down, this includes more than 500,000 prints, 30,000 watercolors and drawings, and 7,000 drawings. They also include numerous paintings, textiles, antique lace, jewelry, unique clocks, ancient books, sculptures, tapestries, and of course, the crown jewels. Among these items, the most recognizable items are 600 drawings of Leonardo da Vinci, 20 paintings of Michelangelo, and more than 13 Peter Paul Rubens paintings. And now, all of these belong to King Charles III of the UK. It's believed much of the art stored in Buckingham Palace is not even discovered yet, like a painting of Caravaggio entitled The Calling of Saints Peter and Andrew. This piece of art was accidentally found and was sitting in the storeroom for more than 400 years. The price of this painting is said to be in the tens of millions. Other properties owned by the king. Apart from owning multiple castles and a billion-dollar art collection, the king also owns 54,000 hectares of land across the UK. This land is used for generating millions of dollars for the king. He uses this land for agriculture, residential housing, and commercial real estate. The estimated price of the king's 54,000 hectares of land is more than $1 billion. The king inherited the crown estate after the death of the queen, which will get an annual income of $20 million. Until now, we've seen the expenses of the king. Now let's see how the king earns his money. King Charles mainly earns money from the companies owned by the British royal family, and some chunk of it comes from the government. First, let's talk about the company. The king owns Duchy Originals. It's one of the top organic food brands in the United Kingdom, which makes everything from bicecs to shampoos. This company generates nearly $30 million for the king per year. Apart from this, the king also receives a special allowance of $70,000 from the government of the United Kingdom. But most importantly, he is the member and now the head of the firm, an informal title for the British royal family and its associated institutions, including the courtiers, staff, and working royals that keep the business of the monarchy functioning. This firm, or the monarchy, generates $28 billion for the royals, and a big share of it belongs to the king. The King of the United Kingdom likes to work closely with several issues of society. For this, the king founded the Prince Charities. This is a non-profit organization founded in 1976 by the king. This foundation helps to transform young lives between 11 and 40 years of age. It provides education, shelter, and training to those who are struggling financially. This foundation also helps in finding jobs for the individual. It is said to have supported more than 900,000 young people since its inception. Apart from this, the king is the head of 17 different non-profit organizations. Each is an independent organization, each tackling different problems in society, like education of special children, saving the environment from plastics, protection of water, etc. Thanks for watching the video. Comment down below on your favorite part. Also, press the subscribe button and the bell icon for regular updates.